A saying commonly ascribed to Albert Einstein is, "The only way to avoid making mistakes is to have no new ideas." Without risk-taking, think about what we would be missing. Risk-taking, though, needs to be safe cognitively, physically, and emotionally. The norms you set as a classroom teacher help to create a culture of creativity and acceptance. Dr. Carol Dweck, the author of Mindsets, addresses some of this. In her work, students were given tasks to do, and in one group were told, "You did that very well, you must be smart." Another group that significantly outperformed the smart group was told, "You did that very well, you must be working hard." When asked if they wanted to tackle a simple or complex task, the growth mindset students, the ones praised for hard work instead of intelligence, were much more willing to take a risk on complex problems. If they failed, they knew they could work harder and accomplish increasing levels of success. In the next segment, Dr. Joe Bowler from the Stanford Graduate School of Education talks about the important role of taking risks and making mistakes in order to become mathematically successful.
I was really stunned last year in a teacher workshop I was running when Carol Dweck had given up some time to join us, and she said many things that were very helpful, and we'll hear from her in this lesson, but one of them was, every time students make a mistake in maths, they grow a new synapse. And that really hit me as very important. So what we're finding from research is that when students make a mistake, and I'm thinking of this as a kind of core mistake, not an error such as a numerical slip, but when they make a mistake about an idea in maths, two sparks happen. First when they make the mistake, and then again when they think about the mistake. And that brain growth that comes from those sparks in the brain doesn't happen when people get work correct. So this was stunning to me. And the reason is, it turns out that making mistakes is the most useful thing to be doing. The very most useful thing in maths. But students often feel really bad, crushed even, if they make a mistake in maths. They think it means that they're not a maths person. But it turns out it's really the most useful thing they can be doing. Jason Moser and his colleagues published an article in Psychological Science, which I'm putting in the references, and they reported the evidence of significant brain changes when students make a mistake. They also found that the brain growth that happens was different, greater in growth mindset individuals than in fixed mindset individuals. So again, the greater response of the growth mindset people and the brain growth they showed, that they were more aware of mistakes with a greater reaction and greater accuracy afterwards. It's really amazing, and that paper's in the reference section. So that evidence points to two things for me. The new science of the brain, showing us that brains actually change when people make a mistake. And again, the importance of a growth mindset, as it was the growth mindset people's brains who grew the most.
When we think of Thomas Edison, we think of his successes in the advancement of telegraphs, light bulbs, recorded sound, electric power distribution. He even came up with a prototype that was eventually the ditto machine and then the copier printer a century later. Edison was very successful, but only because he embraced learning, took responsible risks, and chose not to fear mistakes. Let's think about some of his quotes. "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." "We often miss an opportunity because it's dressed in overalls and looks like work." Or, "Many of life's failures are people who didn't realize how close they were to success when they gave up." I'm asking you to consider these points. It's important to accept challenges and to initiate your own challenges, then persevere in mastering them. When you take risks, you will make mistakes. But mistakes are an important part of learning because that's where synapses form. And if you want your students to exhibit these qualities, you have to practice them yourself. And remember, The only sure way to avoid making mistakes is to have no new ideas.